Hello everyone, welcome back. We are on to lesson 3 of unit 3 on rational numbers. Today we're going to be dealing with multiplying rational numbers. Remember, the root of rational is ratio and ratios are fractions. So we're going to be doing multiplying fractions. Okay, so here we're going to start with a little picture. You don't have to draw a picture every time you do this, but I thought it'd be nice to look at a model of what you're doing when you're multiplying fractions together. So if you take a third times a half, first you take a whole and multiply it by half of a whole. Here you go. Here's one part of a whole. So it's broken up into two parts, one part on the left. Now if you take that one part on the left and you break it into three more parts, you get one part of it. So 1/2 times a third is 1/6, because you take halves and you divide the halves into thirds. So there you have it. There is the model of it. Okay. You can do that with any fraction you want. I don't recommend doing this always because you can get some pretty crazy fractions. Now, mathematically speaking, just using pencil and paper, what you can do is you can just multiply straight across. 1 times 4 is 4. 2 times 10 is 20. Make sure you're always putting it in simplest form. Okay, so 4 and 20 are not reduced. So they're both even, divide by 2. And they're still not reduced. 2 and 10 are both divisible by 2. So 1/5 is reduced. Now, sometimes what you can do is you can reduce before you multiply. And I always recommend doing this because that way, instead of reducing at the end with big numbers, like in this case, it'd be 30 over 120, what you can do is you can reduce before. And that way, in the end, it'll already be a reduced answer, which I like. So this is called cross-reducing. You can reduce, you can make it one big fraction right here, and you can reduce before you multiply. So look, 5 and 10 both have a 5. So that makes either 1, and that's a 2. 6 and 12 both have a 6. That's a 1, and that's a 2. So 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 2 is 4. So instead of ending up with 30 over 120, which is what you do if you don't cross-reduce, you end up with your answer 1/4, and you just reduce smaller numbers instead of bigger numbers. I really prefer this method because of that reason. Okay, same thing over here. Make one big fraction out of it. 3 and 21 both have a 3. Take out a 3. You're left with 1 and 7. Right, divide by 3. Here, 8 and 4 both have a 4. 8 divided by 4 is 2. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 1 times 2 is 2. 7 times 1 is 7. Always double check at the end to make sure you can't reduce it. You can't here. But if you can't reduce it over here, you will not be able to reduce it there. Now what happens if you introduce negatives? Just like before when you're doing integers. Take care of the negative first, then do the math. So here, a negative and a negative makes it positive, and now we're going to ignore it. 9 and 3 both have a 3. 2 and 12 both have a 2. Now look, 3 and 6 both have a 3, so we're going to reduce it again. So I have a 1 on top and a 2 on bottom. I already dealt with the negatives, so it's just a positive 1/2. Here, for time's sake, this is going to be a negative answer. Okay, that's a 1, that's a 3. 6 and 3 can both be reduced by 3. So notice I'm reducing a diagonal, and I can reduce vertical. So this is negative, whoops, that's 2. That's a 2. 11s. Now when you're dealing with mixed numbers, this is why we practice changing a mixed number into an improper fraction. You need to turn them improper. So 3 times 8 is 24, plus 3 is 27. I'm going up here to get some nice room to work. You're going to have pencil and paper. They use a dot. 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7. If you forget how to do this, you take the whole number times the denominator plus the numerator. Do not change the denominator. All right. 24 and 3 both have a 3, so that becomes a 1. That becomes an 8. 8 and 8 both have an 8. That's a 1. That's a 1. All right. So you get a 7 on top, a 1 on bottom. Make it always simplest form. 7 1/8 or 7 firsts is 7.